All right, so we're going to review for the test that is on your A day, right? Your B day, right? Yeah, so it's Tuesday. So here we go. We started out where we started out this semester, coterminal angles. So how far apart are coterminal angles in degrees? 360. So if you add 360 to 160, you get 520. If you subtract 360 from 160, you get negative 200. Okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Are these coterminal? Are they 360 apart? No. Are they 720 apart? No. If they're not 360 apart or a multiple of 360 apart, they are not coterminal. Okay? What quadrant is a 214 degree angle in? Well, if you know 90 is here, 180 is here, 270 is here, 214 would be quadrant 3. Degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay? So if you have 34 seconds, what do you do with that 34 seconds? Divide it by 60. Okay? So what's 34 divided by 60? Somebody calculator, help me out. 34 divided by 60. 0.56. And then take this divided by 60. And you get 0.4, what? 476. Oh, 4760. Okay. So it's 39.4760 degrees. Okay. So you divide by 60, add that on to the minutes. Take the minutes, divide by 60, and add that on to the degrees. Okay, 66.3 degrees is 66 degrees. 0.3 times 60 is what? 18. 18 minutes and 0 seconds. Now, if there's a decimal part in on this 18 minutes, take the decimal part times 60 to find the seconds. 270 times pi over 180 gives us what? Now, if you use your calculator, you want to go in fraction format and not push the pi button. Okay, because you want an integer or fraction. So you want to use pi in your answer. So it'd be 3 pi over 2. Okay, because 270 over 180 is 3 over 2. Okay, 5 pi over 6. Now we're converting to degrees, so we multiply by 180 over pi. Pi's cancel. 180 and 6 is 30, so it's 150 degrees. Or you just look at your unit circle and find 5 pi over 6 and go 150 degrees. All right, pi over 4. If we have pi over 4, what's coterminal with that? Well, we have to add 2 pi onto this. 2 pi onto pi over 4 is the same as pi over 4 plus what over 4? 8 pi over 4. So you get 9 pi over 4. If you add another 8 pi over 4, you get 17 pi over 4, and so on. 9, 17. 5 pi over 4. Okay, where's 5 pi over 4? Well, you could look on your unit circle, or you could figure it out. That's choice A, because it's pi over 4 past pi. Okay. It's not B because you're not going clockwise, you're going counterclockwise. All right, arc length. Arc length equals the angle times the radius. So pi over 3 times 27, which is 9 pi. Area of a sector equals the angle times r squared divided by 2. So pi over 6 times 24 squared divided by 2. So you square 24, which is a big number, like 576 or something like that. divide that by 6, and then whatever that answer is, divided by 2. Okay? So in the end, you get like, what, 48 pi? Cancel radians and radians. Minutes and minutes. What are you left with? Revolutions per hour. And yeah, you have to take 17 times 60 divided by 2, press equals, then divided by pi, press equals. Do that as 2 separate steps, or else you'll have to put 2 pi in parentheses on your calculator. But usually you just go divided by 2 equals divided by pi equals. And what will you get? Round to the nearest tenth. Okay, 162.3. A windmill for generating electricity has a blade 30 feet long. Depending on the wind, it rotates at various velocities. Find the angular velocity if it's going 50 revolutions per second. So if we're at 50 revolutions per second times how many radians in a revolution? 2 pi radians over 1 revolution. So it's 100 times pi, or 314 radians per second, 3.142. 314.2 radians per second. Does the 30 feet have anything to do with this problem? No, that's when we change it to linear velocity. So linear velocity is when we take the 3950 revolutions per minute times 2 pi radians over 1 revolution times the radius, which is 7 inches over 1 radian, times, now we have to change it into miles per hour. So there are 12 inches in 1 foot, and there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So now we have miles per hour. So you take 3950 times 2 times pi times 7 times 60, press equals, then divide by 12, press equals, divide by 5280, press equals. I bet we're over 100. Okay. The planet Neptune has a radius of 15,000 miles and rotates 1 revolution every 18 hours. What's the linear speed on its equator? Okay. So if we have 1 revolution every 18 hours, and I know there's 2 pi radians in 1 revolution, and I know there's 15,000 miles in 1 radian. Radians and radians, revolutions, revolutions, I have miles per hour. So 2 times pi times 15,000 equals, divided by 18 equals. So what do we get for miles per hour? Should be a pretty big number. 5,000 or 0.98, so 540.0. Round to the nearest integer. All right. So if we're at negative 7, 7, we're up here in the second quadrant. Negative 7, 7. What's our hypotenuse going to be? Well, you take 7 squared plus 7 squared, which is 49 plus 49, which is 98. Take the square root of that. What's the square root of 98? Well, it's the square root of 49, square root of 2, or 7 square root of 2. So the sine of the angle is opposite over hypotenuse, 7 over 7 square root of 2. 7's canceled to be 1. So 1 over square root of 2, multiply top and bottom by square root of 2 over square root of 2 to get rid of the square root of 2 out the bottom. The square root of 2 over 2. Cosine is negative 7 over 7 square root of 2. So again, you multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2. 7's cancel, so you get negative square root of 2 over 2. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, 7 over negative 7, which is negative 1. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so it's hypotenuse, 7 square root of 2 over the opposite, 7, which is just plain square root of 2, because these cancel. Secant is negative, well, I guess 7 square root of 2 over negative 7, which gives us a negative in the end, negative square root of 2. And cotangent is negative 7 over 7, which is negative 1. Sine of negative pi over 6. Now you could figure this out looking at your unit circle. Go down pi over 6, and you get a negative 1/2. But if you don't want to do it that way, add 2 pi to it, which 2 pi is 12 pi over 6. And you get 11 pi over 6. So it's a sine of 11 pi over 6, which is negative 1/2. Okay? Cosine of negative 4 pi over 3. If we add 6 pi over 3 to that, we get the cosine of 2 pi over 3. The cosine of 2 pi over 3 is 1/2. The tangent of 30 is the sine of 30 over the cosine of 30. Sine of 30 is 1/2. Cosine of 30 is square root of 3 over 2. So because it's a complex fraction, we multiply top and bottom by 2. So it's 1 over square root of 3. And then we multiply top and bottom by square root of 3 over square root of 3. So it's square root of 3 over 3. The cotangent of 7 pi over 4 is the same as the cotangent. If we add 8 pi over 4 to it, it's pi over 4. So if we look for the cotangent of pi over 4, we're looking for the cosine of pi over 4 over the sine of pi over 4, which is square root of 2 over 2 over square root of 2 over 2. What is this equal to? 1. Square root of 2 over 2 over square root of 2 over 2 is 1. Now you look at your unit circle and you go backwards. Where is the cosine equal to 1/2 at? Well, that's equal at 60 degrees. And for cosine, I'm going to use anywhere from 0 to 180 degrees. For sine, and tangent, I'm going to use anywhere from negative 90 to 90 degrees. So where is tangent 0 at? Where is tangent 0 at? Well, that's where the sine is 0, and the cosine is 1, which is at 0 degrees. Just look at your unit circle. Where is the sine equal to 1/2 at? Well, looking at your unit circle, somewhere in between negative 90 and 90, well, it's at 30 degrees. Okay? So, you just got to look where those are at. Once you get to 24, then it's round to one decimal place using your calculator to find the tangent of 5/8. So you go inverse tangent or second tan of 5 divided by 8. And what do you get? 32.0. Okay. 32.0. Then we're working with right triangles. Pythagorean theorem. 3 squared plus 7 squared. 7 squared is 49. 3 squared is 9. So it's a square root of 58 up here. And that doesn't break down. So the cosine of alpha, or the sine of alpha, is 3 over square root of 58. Can't leave that on the bottom. So it's 3 square root of 58 over 58. Cosine, 7 over square root of 58. So it's 7 square root of 58 over 58. Tangent, opposite over adjacent, 3/7. Secant, you flip around the cosine, so square root of 58 over 7. Cosecant, you flip over the sine, so it's the square root of 58 over 3. And cotangent, you flip over the tangent, which is 7/3. Solving the right triangle. If B is 1.04 and C is 4.56, you take 4.56 squared equals 1.04 squared plus A squared. So whatever 4.56 squared minus 1.04 squared is, that's what A squared is going to equal. What's 4.56 squared minus 1.04 squared? And then we take the square root of each side. So A equals the square root of 19.712, which is 4.439. So 4.44. Now to find angle A, we have the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. The cosine of angle A is 1.04 over 4.56. So we need to move the cosine to the other side. So it becomes the inverse cosine, or second cosine, of 1.04 over 4.56. So you do that on your calculator and you get an angle, which is to the nearest hundredth. 76.8 what? 82. So then that leaves us with 13.18 for the other angle, because they have to add up to 180, and there's a 90-degree angle right here. All right. If the sine is negative 2/7, and we're in quadrant 4, boom, boom. Sine is the opposite, hypotenuse is 7. We got to figure out the adjacent. So 7 squared equals negative 2 squared plus x squared. So 49 equals 4 plus x squared. X squared equals 45. Take the square root of that. The square root of 9, square root of 5, or 3 square root of 5. So this side's 3 square root of 5. So the cosine of A is 3 square root of 5 over 7. And it's positive because quadrant 4 cosine is positive because we're going to the right. All right, we're on the home stretch now. Cosine of 300 degrees. You look at the unit circle, find the cosine of 300 degrees, and you see that it is positive 1/2, correct? Sine of negative 14 pi over 3. Well, you take negative 14 pi over 3, and you add 6 pi over 3, because you have to get a coterminal angle. So you get negative 8 pi over 3. Add 6 pi over 3, and you get negative 2 pi over 3. And add 6 pi over 3, and you get 4 pi over 3. And so it's the sine of 4 pi over 3, which works out to be negative square root of 3 over 2. So the sine of 3/4 is square root of 2 over 2. Cosine is negative square root of 2 over 2. Tangent is negative 1. Cosecant is a reciprocal of sine. So it's 2 over square root of 2. Can't leave square root of 2 on the bottom. So we multiply top and bottom by square root of 2. So it's 2 square root of 2 over 2, which 2's cancel. So it's just square root of 2. So that would make secant negative square root of 2. And cotangent is a reciprocal of negative 1, which is negative 1. Are these equal? The cosine of 150 and the cosine of 30? The answer is no. They have to have opposite signs. Okay, so that is false. So those will be your 31 questions. I will put out a sample test. You can take it as many times as you like before the test. Okay, so there you go.